my name is Tori. This is Novel Life. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the end of the year book tag. So in today's video, I'm going to do a book tag, which is the end of the year book tag. I don't always do tag videos, but I love doing this one at the end of the year, and I'm really excited to sit down and answer these questions. Also, this is Bookmas video number 5 for you. So in December, I'm doing a 12 days of Bookmas where every other day you'll get a video from me leading up to Christmas, and today's video is one that I'm super excited for. So this tag video has 22 questions, which is a lot. I did write them down. I did think about my answer before this video because I did try it one year where I didn't think about the questions, and it was a very long video of me just going, I don't know, I can't remember. So I do have answers written down, but the first question is a banger of one. It is the most disappointing read of the year. So of course, reading is not over for me in 2025, but I do reread a lot in December, so I'm not reading a lot of new books, or I don't plan to. But I do know one of my biggest disappointments was Heat of the Everflame by Penn Cole. So I don't know what it was about this book. I gave book 1 4 stars. I gave book 2 5 stars. Loved book 2. I was expecting more going into this third book. This is a chunker of a book, okay? And I will tell you, I don't really know all that happened in this book. I do not remember. I remember giving it 3 stars. I was severely disappointed. I felt like the pacing was off. I felt like it was very slow at times. I felt like our female character really lost a lot of that. I don't know what it was, but I just felt like our female character lost a lot of things that I personally loved in the first 2 books. I felt like that kind of like went to the side a little bit, and I don't really know where the 4th book is going to go. Will I read the 4th book? Yes. I probably will have to reread this book. I did reread books 1 and 2 already, so that's pretty clear in my mind. But because this was a 3 star, I really don't remember anything. So I would say this is the most disappointing, but not in like a horrible way. I'm just like, I don't really know what's happening in this book. The next question is Underdog Book of the Year. And I know a lot of people have read this book, and I know a lot of people have loved this, but I need this book to just get more hype. I need more people to read this because this is, for me, such an underrated book. Like, such an underrated book, okay? Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wang. Okay, I've discovered M.L. Wang this year. I love her stuff. Anything that she publishes, I will read. This book, I literally have not stopped thinking about. I love it so much. It is so rich. It is so beautiful. This is a fantasy, not a romantasy. If you primarily read romantasy, I promise you're still going to love this book. I don't know what it was. This is a short fantasy book. It's a standalone. I don't know what M.L. Wang did with this book, but I love it so much. Like, I have not stopped thinking about this and this character and everything that she does, everything that she's accomplished. There's just so many things in this book that I loved. She hits on a lot of different topics, from mental health to being a woman in a field that's dominated by only males to the injustice of people in her world. I just feel like it's so just relevant to things happening now, and I love it so much. I just want more people to read it. Like, I get goosebumps talking about this book. I just love it so much. And I think that I want her to get more attention because this book is like one of the best fantasies I've read. I would say this is one of my favorite like fantasy and one of the best fantasy books that I read, even out of some romantasy books. Like, I've had a lot of romantasy books that I love, but this one tops it. Like, oh my gosh, I need to stop talking about it, but please go read it. The next question is a book that was overhyped. And for me, it's not a disappointing read, but I was disappointed, and that is The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillig. So I read One Dark Window, Two Twisted Crowns last year. I talked about that series, that duology, nonstop. I still love it. I think it's amazing. And I went into this book earlier this year when it came out in May, and I actually DNF'd it. And so I got back into it, I think in October. September or October is when I read this, and I just felt slightly disappointed. I just felt like there was something missing. Still to this day, I cannot pinpoint what is missing about this book. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. Now, I love Bartholomew. He is the like gargoyle and stuff like that, and I did love like that kind of like storyline and everything that he represents, but I felt like everything else kind of was very mid for me. She did change her writing style in this, so I don't know if like her writing style in this series in particular just doesn't work for me. But I felt like it's slightly different from the Shepherd King duet. And some people may disagree with me, and that's totally fine. But when I read this, I was like, I feel like there's something missing and I don't know what it is. And that makes me sad because I love Rachel Gillig. Will I continue on with the series? I haven't decided. I'm very interested to see where the story goes, but I may reread this closer to the next release because I do remember a decent amount. I just feel like there was too many things going on that I couldn't like latch onto one thing that I love. And usually that's what I love. when I read books. Question number 4 is favorite book couples of the year. So I have 2. The first one is Freddie and Ro from Unloved. I picked 2 romance heavy books to talk about. Unloved by Peyton Corinne. I love this book so much. I love these characters so much. I love Freddie and Ro separately, together. This is like a friends to lovers romance where they really do come together and they find each other in a time and place in their life where they really needed it, if that makes sense. And he grows, she grows, like the character growth in these 2 books of like more of an emotional side of it. I just love it. I love Peyton Corinne. I'm her biggest fan. I cannot wait. Like, it's just amazing. I love them so much. Now, the second book couple is Cade and Stacy from the Edge of Darkness series. So I haven't read that many dark romances this year, but I did read this whole trilogy like in a weekend. I stayed in bed. I didn't do anything. I abandoned all my priorities and my responsibilities, and I binged this series, and I love it. I think that Cade and Stacy have a really interesting, not only romance, but a relationship. And that starts from when they're younger. And I just think that, you know, you see them grow and evolve over this trilogy. And I find it really interesting and fascinating, specifically Cade, to be in his mind. And he struggles with mental health a lot, and seeing kind of like how that affects certain decisions that he makes. And I really loved this. I love the whole thing by Lee Rivers, and I would recommend it if you're a dark romance lover. So those are 2 like romance based couples that I loved. Question number 5 is favorite main character of the year. So I have 2. They're both from a romantasy series. Reign of Shadows and Endings, Theon in this whole series. So it's not just in this first book. I finished this legacy series this year, and when I finished book 3, which I did earlier in the year, I loved Theon. I was like, oh my god, this man is so just like so misunderstood by so many people, and just to see his character evolve from book 1 just to book 3, and now that I read book 4, I love him so much. Like, I love all the characters, but he for some reason is such a standout character for me, and I just loved him so much. So yeah, this whole series is absolutely amazing, but Theon really takes the cake for me. And another hero I love is Smith from the Silversmith. So this one is interesting because I pick actually female characters, but I pick 2 main male characters. And that's not for anything that, oh my god, they're so hot, oh my god, this, like, because it's a romance or romantasy. It's the things that they go through and how that affects their decision making, specifically with Theon. Now, Smith in here, this is such an angsty fantasy romance. Now, some people hate it. I personally loved this book. It was one of my favorites. I haven't stopped thinking about it. But the things that Smith goes through this book, like, you start to see things, and I don't want to say too much, but towards the end of the book, a lot of things come out, and you just see how much he has gone through in his life, and it really like just made my heart ache for him. That's the only way I can say, and the only thing I can say, but I loved this. I cannot wait to see what book 2 is about, but it's now tried picked up, and I think it's coming out next year. The paperback this is the indie version, but I think the cover is staying the same. But oh my god, I love that so much. The next question is a book that surprised you. I have 2. I've Left It Forever by Tara DeWitt. This one only because I read Tara DeWitt in the past, and for like a contemporary romance author, her books were just like okay for me, but I don't know what it was about this book, and it could be like the way that she wrote the romance, it could be this whole like subgenre premise of it, but basically it's about a divorced couple. You see when they're 17, 18 years old, they get married because they have a child really, really young, and so most of their life, like the child's life, has been about the child and them being parents to that child. And when he's in his teens, they kind of get divorced. So basically now that he's 18, for the past like 3 or 4 years, his parents have been divorced, but he's going off to college, and so they kind of have to road trip it back together. So not only is it them, you know, saying goodbye to their kid, leaving him in college and all that stuff like that, but they're really coming back together after being separated and not really speaking for a long period of time. I mean, they speak and they co-parent really, really well, but they had to grow separately. They had to like figure out separately what they want and who they were as people rather than together, you know, having a child being just mom and dad. And I really found that interesting. I love that. I love a good second chance romance, but I think that Tara DeWitt hit on a lot of things in this book that I really loved, and I was really emotional about it. The next one is The Sword of Kaigan by Emma Wang. So this is one of the first books that I read this year, and I still think about this book. Now, this is very fantasy heavy, and that is what surprised me and why I gave it 5 stars. I don't always love fantasy because I feel like I don't pick up on things, or sometimes like the characters might annoy me or something like that. That's previously what I've had. But this actually opened up like a different type of fantasy, not, I don't know if I call it subgenre, but a different type of fantasy where I loved. And I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was because we're following our main female character and really what she's going through as a mother, as a wife, as a woman in this society. But you're also having this like second POV of someone. I don't want to say too much, but I just found it really interesting, and I love how she wrote this book. So after I really read The Sword of Kaigan, I picked up Blood Over Brighthaven, and now I'm obsessed. So that leads into the next question, which is a new favorite author you discovered in 2025. Emma Wang. I love her. Now, I've read a lot of new authors. I've read a lot of new to me authors, new subgenres of romance, romantasy, fantasy, but she has really stuck out as someone who, when she has a book release, I will pick it up. Like, whatever she writes next, it could be in any genre, fantasy, romantasy, nonfiction, fiction, I don't care, I will read it. I'm a fan, and that's only after reading 2 books. So yeah, I really love her. Question number 8 is Happiest read of the year. This is interesting because I don't know, like books that make me giddy. I don't know. I had a hard time with this, but the book that I chose is If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. And that's not because of the title, but literally, I read this during the fall. I loved the characters. Our female character, she is someone who is unlikable. She's not a very liked character at the beginning. And even as the reader, you're kind of like, I don't really like her. But you see her grow and evolve throughout the book. And even though it's a shorter romance, it's like 300 pages, I loved it. And I love our hero. This kind of takes place in I think it's 1997. So it's very nostalgic. I was like 3 or 4 years old at that time. So it's just very nostalgic to kind of like see everything that's happened in this super small town around fall, like all the traditions. And it just was a happy read. I gave it 4 stars and I loved it. Question number 9 is most frustrating book you read in 2025. And I'd have to say Onyx Storm. And that's only because with this book, I spent the whole day, I like took off work. I had a friend come visit me, Jess at Peace Love Books. We read it together. She flew down. We went to the midnight release party for it, and we were super excited, and we were reading it separately, and we didn't really check in all that often with each other, just kind of like what page are you on type of a thing. And we both had this like undercurrent of like, what is happening in this book? It felt like a rehashing of Iron Flame. And I don't know if it's like I had high expectations. I didn't think I had expectations, but maybe I did, because we went from book 1, action-packed right from the beginning, all this stuff happening, to an expansive world in book 2, and I thought we were gonna expand more in that world and like learn more and do more, and it felt very slow. So yes, I will continue on with this series. I love this series. I love Fourth Wing. It's one of my favorite romantasy books. But I did feel a little kind of like disappointed and underwhelmed and frustrated. That's a good like word. Because I'm like, what is happening in this book? Like, where are we going? Why did we have this book? At the end of this book, why did we do all of these things and have all of these things for just the end of the book? Like, it was very long. Not a lot was like contributing to that, in my opinion. So that was very frustrating for me. Question number 10 is best adaptation of the year. My Fault London. Okay. My Fault has a book series, and I think, it was produced in another country. I forgot what country, but I watched My Fault London, which is now English. It takes place in London. Basically, it's the same thing. I loved this movie. I watched it a couple times. I have not read the book. Well, I read the book. Did I read the book? No, I have not read the book, but I did find it really, like, I love this adaptation more. So yeah, I'll just say that. Question number 11 is longest book that I've read this year. The longest book that I've read this year is, oh my gosh, Alchemized, which is 1,029 pages. And yes, I know that because I read the ebook and I was counting down to the pages. Oh, my paperback or my hardback. Oh, it's 1,024 pages, but the Kindle book is 1,029 pages. So over 1,000 pages. So yes, I have read this book and it is amazing. It's one of my favorites of the year, but that is my longest book. The shortest book I read this year was actually Signal Moon by Kate Quinn. This is actually only 57 pages and I really enjoyed this. This is like a sci-fi historical fiction. Our female character is World War II. She's like a code breaker. She listens to radio frequencies, and our hero is 80 years in the future in 2023. He also works in the military for the US, but she's in Britain. So it's just like an interesting sci-fi element. And that's all I really want to say, especially if you want to read it, because I didn't know anything going in and I loved it. Favorite covers of the year. Okay, this is interesting because I feel like covers are like obviously more personable. Like, it's up to you what you like, but I'm gonna choose The Second Deathlock because I didn't know anything about this book, but I saw this cover and immediately added it to my TBR and I love it. I don't know what it is. It's just like the night, the typography, the sword, everything, her braid. There's just so much I loved about this book. So yeah, I mean, I gave that one 5 stars too, but I love the cover. Okay, a book you haven't stopped thinking about. Obviously, the two that I've already mentioned. Oh my God, Alchemized by Sun Lin Yu. I read this and I haven't stopped thinking about it. I want to reread it ASAP. And then the second book is The Silversmith by L.J. Claren. I loved this. I love angsty, and both of those are very angsty fantasy romances. Can you tell that fantasy romance has pretty much dominated my reading this year? I'm not mad about that. Question number 15 is cringiest book you've read this year. I don't have an answer for this because I don't really read cringy books. Unpopular book you loved. So, Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez was very controversial, I guess, this year in the way that either you loved it or you hated it. I am someone who I loved this book. I read this book in like a day or two, and then I go online and I see people are like, I don't like this book. Oh my gosh, what happened? Blah, blah, blah. I like it. I love an angsty romance. I love two people who were trying to be together and the world kind of like trying to tearing them apart or like is not letting them be together. That could be an unpopular opinion, but I loved it. Question number 17 is, what is the highest and lowest rated books you read on Goodreads? Do you agree? So my highest, which I do agree so far when I put my answers together, was Secret Haven by Catherine Cowles. I gave this book 4 stars, and right now it has a 4.55 average on Goodreads, which, yes, go Catherine. I love this book. It deserves all the hype. So yes, I agree with that one. And the lowest is Backhanded Compliments. I forgot the author, but I'll put the picture up. It has a 3.34 average rating, and I think I gave it like 3 stars. So yeah, I agree. I unhauled it. I had a physical art copy and I unhauled it because I did not like that one. Question number 18 is a favorite quote of the year. So this is actually from Blood Over Brighthaven, and it says, so many parents will try to kill everything brilliant about a girl in the name of giving her a good life, a safe life, a chance of happiness. And it goes for there, but I just felt like that as a woman, I just feel like this is a thing. It's like, oh, you can't do this because it's not safe, or oh, you shouldn't do that because it's not, this, or oh, you should do this instead of this because it'll give you like a better life. You know what I mean? Like marry this person over this person, or go in this direction for a profession instead of this one. So I just felt like that quote really hit me. I have a lot from this book, but that was one of my favorites. Question number 19 is a book with the most unique concept. It's actually a historical fiction book that I read. And I wish I talked about it more because I wanted more people to pick it up. I actually had an arc of it, and it is The Book of Lost Hours by Haley Gefelso. So this one's interesting. If you've read The Midnight Library by Matt Haig, which is one of my all-time favorite books, like literally I've read it years ago and it's still stuck with me. Basically in The Midnight Library, it's a library, and you can go as a person, you can pick up a book and you get a memory that you can choose like this path or this path. You can see the 2 different ones, and it's like after death. Now this one is not about after death, but basically it's a library of history of books, and basically it kind of plays off of the saying, oh, the winners are the ones who write history. Do you know what I mean? So in this case, you see our female character. Okay, I don't know how to talk about this book without spoiling it, but basically there is a library, and in that only certain people can enter this. It's called the time space, but it's basically a massive library, and only certain people can enter the time space. And one of the characters, she's in Nuremberg in 1938, and she actually is placed in the time space by her father because her father is a timekeeper, and the Germans are knocking on his door. They figured out who he is, and he puts her in there, but she doesn't know how to get out because she's not a timekeeper or anything like that. So then you fast forward to 1949, she meets an American timekeeper named Ernest, and kind of like that story goes from there. So it's very interesting, like a lot of like a little sci-fi element too. I thought it was really unique. I had a really good time reading. I think I give it 4 stars. It's very intriguing, very thought-provocative, I guess you could say, if that's the word. But I really like this one. Question number 20 is a book that you would reread. Blood Over Brighthaven. It's at the bottom of my stack. Blood Over Brighthaven. I've talked about it so much. It's been an answer to a lot of my questions because I love it so much. Question number 21. The last 2 questions are more about like my reading and stuff. So question number 21 is reading goal reflection plus 2025 your reading goal. So my reading goal for 2025 was 150 books, and I just passed that. I think I'm at like 155, and that means I'm going into December, and I'll probably read like 10, maybe 11 books. So I have like hit my reading goal. I think I'll keep 150 for 2026. But what I really discovered in 2025 about my reading is I've not been afraid to DNF. I've DNF'd a lot of books. I don't necessarily keep track of DNFs unless it's like I want to DNF for a specific reason, like content stuff, but I usually don't do that. Like I haven't had any this year. But I've DNF'd if I'm not enjoying it, because for me, reading time is sacred. My reading time is sacred. I don't have a lot of it, and I want to spend that time reading books that I'm going to love. like books that are going to be ones that I want to recommend to you, books that I'm excited to talk about, right? That's like anyone. And I used to read over 300 books a year, and I've slowed down because I'm reading chunkier books, which I'm not mad at. But I really honed in on mood reading in my TBR, if that makes sense. Like, I want to read romance, I want to read fantasy, romantasy, like all different subgenres of those things. And I really honed in on what I love and like what I want to read. And I love books that grip me. Like, I used to not remember books at the end of the year that I read in January, but now I read The Sword of Kaigen, which I read at the beginning of the year and love that book. And it's still, at the end of the year, I still remember that. So like, I want books like that, books that are going to grip me, books that have plot lines that I love to talk about and love to recommend to you. So that's kind of a reflection. But question number 22 is, after 2025 reading, what are you prioritizing in 2026 reading wise? So I will be doing a video. I don't know if I will call it like 26 books to read in 2026, because I did that in 2025 and I did not read any of those books. Like, I read maybe 7 of those because my reading changed, and that's okay. But I honestly think that my reading has changed over the last like 4 or 5 years that I've been doing booktube. That's not a bad thing. I'm older. I'll be 32 in 2026. I just turned 31. So like, what I read when I was 21 and what I loved is kind of different. So I still always will read romance. Romance will always have a place in my heart. I love that at the core of me. I'm a romance lover, but I have discovered romantasy more this year, and I loved that, and I definitely will continue with that. I've kind of branched out and read some fantasy books. I have found my love again for historical fiction. I love historical fiction. Before I even had booktube channel, Bookstagram, I used to read historical fiction all the time, and some of those books still stick with me that I read like 6-7 years ago. And so I've rediscovered that. I'm just kind of like branching out and trying different things, and I'm not mad about that. I figured out that YA fantasy, I've kind of outgrown that, and I think that's okay. I think some new adult fantasy romance books I still will read and enjoy, but I think YA, I've kind of moved on from that, and that's not a bad thing. It's just not what I'm in the mood for. So really just prioritizing books that resonate with me. Do you know what I mean? And not always jumping on new releases or jumping on things that everyone else is reading, and then I pick it up. I'm like, oh, I'm not really reading. Like, I'm not really feeling that. It's okay to DNF that at the moment, because at heart, I'm a mood reader. As much as I love a good TBR, I'm a mood reader, and I will abandon a TBR for the sake of my reading time because it's sacred. So I feel like a lot of people are out like that. But when you make content around reading, I still want it to be fun for me, as well as it be fun for you to watch me read things and talk about things. So that was a lot. That was a long video, but I really hope you enjoyed it. If you've made it this far and you want to let me know, leave me a dagger emoji, like a fantasy, a dagger, a sparkle, anything like that, because romantasy really dominated my reading and I'm not mad about it. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content from me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.